I'm over here today at what is probably the spiritual heartland of the inner west, the Bay Run. It's a place where people refuge, take time to reflect. I think it's an acknowledgement that we are physical beings and that exercise is good. You see people walking around with close friends, processing life. And I think earlier this year when everyone was in lockdown and the Bay Run was packed and there was great pressure to keep physical distance, it just highlighted how spiritual all of us are. And in many ways, we're spiritual beings who worship. Now, in the Western world, not many of us would see how we worship, but there are objects and things that we value, things that we trust. And underlying these things are expectations. And so we spoke last week at church about some of the underlying objects of worship in the Western world. I talked about approval, that for me, being liked by others was something that gave me great security. That in many ways, it cost me the ability to be authentic. I would often say things that I thought others wanted to hear rather than what I actually believed. And the great stress that it placed on me was the pressure to be liked. And the problem with seeking approval is that it ultimately leads to great insecurity. You can smother others in relationships as you're demanding too much of them. You create relationships that are codependent, that you lose your autonomy and your ability to be an individual. And with that comes great stress. Now, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be liked, to wanting to engage in lifelong relationships. But there's a sense of danger when we expect too much from these things. And so how that might look on the Bay Run is that people are exercising for the approval of others. Maybe it's people that they know and they think they need to get around the bay in a particular time. Or perhaps it's the way that they look, that they need to be wearing the right gear or to have a certain kind of body. The good news that God presents is that He is the glorious one who actually offers a security that we can know that He approves of us, not in an insecure and unstable way, but in a totally secure way because of the giving of Himself, that because of Jesus standing in our place, we who have done plenty that God doesn't approve of can be forgiven, and through that stand in a right relationship with the glorious God. And so the freedom that brings for life is that we play to an audience of one. That the only person that I can now be concerned about ultimately is God, and seeking to please Him. And knowing that when I fail to please Him, He doesn't cast me off, that I don't have to try harder, but that I appreciate again the forgiveness that has been given to me in Jesus.